Control is something that humans have trouble letting go of. It can make us feel vulnerable and powerless. That's why in this video, I want to talk about the idea of how to handle control. I've learned that if I become strict and try to control everything, I'll end up restraining my own freedom. And if I try not to control anything and just go with the flow, I would end up letting opportunities go by and my relationships wouldn't grow as fast. I've experienced both sides of this, and I hope by sharing my experiences, you can face similar situations and figure out how to give up control or how to take it back. So the first thing I want to talk about are things that I can't control. I can't control other people, I can't control the rejection letters once they're already in the mailbox, or anything that has already happened. The point is that I can't change my past actions, but I can change the actions that I'm going to do. Instead of telling myself there's nothing I can do, move on, I started to process thoughts in a different way that helped me not be frustrated at the situation. The first thing I did was I acknowledged that it happened. The second thing is that I realized that I'm still alive and that life is going to go on. I'm going to live through the negative emotions, and it's true what people say, time heals all. And the third thing that I would do is to look at what's next. What actions do I do next? And how do I figure out what to do next? Well, to answer that, I usually look back at what I did and see if there's any mistakes that I can learn from. Looking back at the past isn't always a bad thing. It helps me reflect on myself. However, it starts being an issue when I play the experiences in my head on repeat. The first few times, I'm starting to pick up on mistakes that I made and what I can do better, but by the 100th time, I'm really just nitpicking a few things that I could have done better if I went back in the past, and honestly, it made me feel worse about myself and whatever the situation was. So go ahead, reflect, but don't beat yourself up. Everyone deserves a second chance, and if you're the one that made a mistake, you deserve a second chance too. Speaking of second chances, let's talk about if the mistake wasn't you. What if the situation that you're trying to control or fix was somebody else's fault? I found that if I didn't forgive somebody for their mistakes, it would continue affecting my relationship in a negative way. And yes, I know it's obvious, but from my past experience, it's something that's easily forgotten. I forgot at one point that humans are humans. We're all going to make mistakes, and it's important to be a little bit lenient and forgive other people, because there may be a time when I mess up, and I would hope that they gave me the same level of forgiveness. It's important to take past experiences into account, but to not let it affect how I judge them. For example, if I go out with a friend and realize that every time I go out with them, I end up spending a lot more money than I'm usually used to, I need to take that into account. I can decide from that point that in the future, I'm not going to go out as much with them. But it doesn't mean that I think that they're a bad person. It's just that their lifestyle doesn't align with my goals. And that's something that I think about a lot. I think about my goals, I think about the lifestyle that I want, and I try to make sure that whatever I'm doing, it's going towards my goals or towards the lifestyle that I want to have one day. And on this journey, a question that I asked myself was, what's the point of even controlling all of these things? There's just so many things that we can't control. And the answer that I found was that if I didn't try to control anything and I just went with the flow, I often felt like external factors were the reasons why I wasn't successful. I would feel like life was in the driver's seat. And this isn't true. Yes, there are plenty of things that are out of our hands, but it doesn't mean we're powerless. It's important to know that although we can't handle everything that life throws at us, we have full control of ourselves and what we throw back out into the world. I can control my responses to the situations. I can control how I feel. I can control how I react. If I have an issue with a relationship, whether it's friends, family, a significant other, the only way towards truly fixing the issue is by addressing it. Am I telling you to be aggressive and confrontational? Not exactly. What I'm saying is that you need to allow yourself time and energy and space to evaluate everything. And I feel like people don't give themselves one of these three things. Sometimes they don't give any of these things. It's important to set time aside so that you can reflect and understand what you want to do next. Do you want the relationship to fall? Do you want to keep on building it and growing it? And then what do you want to do? Having an intentional action towards your decision. For example, if I wanted to improve a relationship, I can think about a bunch of different ways that I could possibly make the relationship better. Or I can talk about it with the other person, find out something that works for both of us, and then put the plan into action and practice whatever it is. I felt comfortable when I thought about what I could be doing better, but I felt accomplished when I went out and did that action. It's also good to note that the last part is to practice. If I had an issue with communicating in a relationship, I'm not going to get better by talking to myself. There's a level of reflection that comes from reminiscing or remembering the past, but it all comes down to practice. I got better at communicating in a relationship to make sure that I didn't do those things when I got into my next relationship. Catching myself when I'm not being understanding, trying to actively listen, being supportive and happy that my significant other took the time to open up to me. I thought about these things and knew I had to improve on them, but I didn't wish that I could have done things differently. I focused on doing things differently. And it's easy to say all of this when I have a clear mind, but in the moment, it can be hard to process all those emotions. I found that when things are really heated, it can be difficult to open up. And a big part about giving up control was allowing myself to be vulnerable around the people that I trust and trusting that things are going to work out. Sometimes situations didn't work out exactly how I thought. Relationships would break, arguments would start, but I never regretted bringing up issues. Life is too short to carry every single burden. Having petty arguments that end relationships. Keeping things pent up inside and trying to control everything to make sure that everything ends up okay. I myself spent a lot of time feeling like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. And it became a lot easier when I realized that it wasn't worth believing the idea that I was alone. It wasn't worth believing that there's a billion people in the world and that there wasn't one person who could help me. If you don't believe me, type your problem into a search bar. While navigating through life and becoming stronger physically, mentally, I learned to believe that it's in these life challenges that we learn to be resourceful and find the best opportunities. I did my best to learn what I needed to improve and to find the people that could help me the most. When there was a challenge and I faced it with 100% effort, there was never a time where I looked back and wished that I did more. And it's not because I didn't give 110% of my effort. It's because at the time, I did the best that I could. Sure, I could have told myself I could have done more if I was smart, if I was more disciplined, but I came to terms with the fact that I wasn't. That wasn't who I was back then. And back then, I did the best that I could every single day. If you're still struggling with the idea of control, I offer live coaching sessions. You can sign up by clicking the link in the description below. If you like the video and want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave any questions in the comments below. And as always, keep improving, stay productive, and I will see you next Friday. Peace.